Welcome to Culture on Tap. We are a podcast that is about bridging the cultural gap, one conversation at a time. We have myself, Xavier. We have Dale off camera today. We have Rainge with the introverted eye. I can't talk. I got a little flipped tongue. And we have Paul back with us. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share on anywhere you listen to or watch podcasts, and make sure you hit the bell so that you get notifications whenever we have new content that's coming out, so that you can tap in with us and so that we can be a resource for you, whether to challenge and or encourage you. So since you're in front of the camera, you're leading the Fun Fact with Rainge.
Fun Facts with Rainge.
There we go.
So we normally do Fun Facts with Rainge as things that Rainge does not know. And Dale has received messages and X has received messages asking about this being scripted or, you know, accurate and different things like that. And it's not scripted and it is accurate. But I'm not a...
Yeah, you don't know nothing.
Listen, yeah, I'm a guest. I'm coming to you live now to tell you something here is wrong. Something is wrong. It ain't scripted, y'all.
No. But so we're going to do it a little bit different today, and I'm going to try to not drag this out.
I'm excited.
So here's the deal. We've got to see some pretty cool stuff on me and Jessica's last trip to Utah. And one of them was the Olympic athletes practicing the ski jump flip thing, and which was amazingly cool.
You in Park City?
Yeah, in Park City.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dope. That's
so
cool.
that's where we were. And like we just sat there and watched them for a while. So,
so dope.
It's warm. It was, warm outside, so there wasn't any snow to jump into. But they're at the bottom of the ramp, it's this huge swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever they jump, they go really high, and then when they are landing, they land in the water. And if you've ever been like on a boat, tubing or kneeboarding, wakeboarding, whatever, the water can be hard.
It hurt.
Right? It hurts.
Oh, yeah. It feels like concrete when you're going 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so whenever the athletes call like they're about to go, these big air just shoots a ton of air into the pool. Any ideas why? I guess I kind of gave it away, but
Pushes that water down so it kind of cups them and catches them, I guess.
Dale? No.
Blown away that you do this. Like, literally blown away. Like, he starts explaining that. Like, how are you going to explain this and not know if it's a Roman Empire? Go ahead and explain it. Go ahead and lay it out.
Or not know that New Jersey's a state.
Well, verdict's still out on that one. So
Verdict's out? But that means the truth. You mean the jury's still out?
The verdict's not out.
The verdict's not out.
Anyway, this is one that I know. So, whenever like a boat or something is sinking, it creates a whole lot of air bubbles. And so if you get trapped in those air bubbles, that's what sucks you down and basically drowns you, is because there's not enough water for you to swim. You're basically free falling in the water because there's not enough water there. So they shoot the air into the pool to soften the landing so they don't blow their knees out and break their legs whenever they land in the water. So it shoots all the air into the pool.
Whenever you were watching them, were they like giving an explanation? Like you went on a tour?
No, we were sitting there, and I asked Jessica, I was like, so do you know why they shoot the air into the pool? She said, no. I said, to soften the landing.
You just knew it.
That's really cool.
Did they teach that in Iowa?
Huh?
Did they teach that in Iowa school district?
I know.
Yeah, we're winter sports big in Iowa.
No.
It's kind of like the guy that was on your shirt earlier. Pretty smart, uneducated.
What? Very smart, uneducated. What was that?
Peace, my
Trouble talking sometimes.
Yes, down by the hand. That's what that was.
He really that showed him he was from the bayou.
No,
Yeah,
here's
absolutely.
the thing. When he's explaining it, I know they can hear me because I'm watching.
Okay.
So when he's explaining it
No loud mouth.
to all of us, I said, how do you know this? He goes, how do you not know that? Like, it's common sense.
He's
I'm
like, I seen it.
But
I'm
but
like,
no,
I've never
absolutely.
heard such. I've never.
And that is actually mind blowing to me that y'all have never heard like that.
But-
Like
Okay, there are origin stories to everything, right? There is a beginning and the end,
yeah.
right? Only God is the one that doesn't have a beginning and the end. So how do you not know where you got this information from?
I learned it somewhere.
I learned it.
He seen it and he learned it.
Yeah.
Bro, that's first off, that is very intriguing. Like
Yeah, that's really cool.
The science behind it is cool, but coming from you,
But so y'all never heard that
I've
whenever
never,
something is sinking, that's like you literally like you're free falling in the water because there's
I've
not
never-
enough water
Nope.
of all the air.
No,
Really?
I'd never heard that before. No, I mean it makes
No.
sense when I think about it.
yeah,
Though.
when you say it, it makes sense. But
Yeah.
it's never crossed my mind. Like, you're just drowning. Like, I never
Right.
knew why.
that's crazy.
So if you're ever on a sinking ship, get out, get away.
As far away from it as you
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
Everyone on a single
Yeah,
trip,
there
just
was
get
your-
away.
Yeah,
There was
just
your
get
defeat.
If
away.
you are listening, if you don't learn anything else from Culture on Tap
That's one of
with
Amen.
Dale, Rainge, and X, if you ever are in trouble and you are on a sinking ship, get away.
just get away.
Yeah, be gone.
That's it. I mean,
Turn tail.
Get away.
Yeah.
Get away.
That's your tidbit of tribute knowledge right there. That's the
Absolutely.
one.
there you
Well,
go.
that was definitely a fun fact
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See,
That's a dope one.
with Range.
for sure.
Thank you.
I learned something.
I learned something.
I like
I wish
y'all
I
something
could've
today.
I
it.
learned.
It's really cool. So if you ever in the Park City area, absolutely go to the Olympic Park. It's really, really cool. And
Yeah.
I like whenever we went there, I didn't know, about the Olympics actually being there and
Yeah.
different things like that.
Well,
But-
they're coming back there too. They're going to host
Oh, yeah.
it again in the next 10 years.
see,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know all that, but
Yeah.
so you don't have to
Yeah.
know all the nonsense behind it. You just,
Nonsense. Yes.
just know the
yes.
important stuff.
Awesome. Awesome.
Nothing but facts.
Well, we can go ahead and get into the episode. First off, thank you both for just basically sharing your insight on this because myself, Dale, we are currently in ministry. So it's kind of our jobs have this built-in approach of just being a Christian. It's expected, right?
Yeah.
But both of you have a unique experience with being a Christian in your secular workplace and kind of building something that's outside of the kingdom per se. But with you guys, your area of influence, you're actually doing something different. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to get y'all's perspective on being a Christian in the workplace. So whenever you hear Christian at work, Christians at work, or whatever the case may be, what do you think of?
Christians at work. I guess first I don't think of somebody like at a job. I think, and I know that's what the episode is about, but the actual first thing that comes to my mind is like somebody on a mission or serving or in that capacity. But nonetheless, it should overflow into our job.
Yeah.
As a Christian, literally at work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, that phrase makes me think there's supposed to be maybe some kind of separation with the way it's phrased. And I don't like that because it's like, it's, I am a hard worker and I do my job to the fullest. Why? Because I am a Christian. Like it's the starting point for me. It's not a bonus. It's not, I just happen to be a Christian at work. It's no, like I'm first and foremost a Christian. Therefore my work and everything that flows out of me is done with excellence.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So what are some unique struggles that you guys face with being at a secular job and being a Christian? Because I hear both of y'all's heart. You guys are Christians who happen to be doing a job. So what are some specific struggles that y'all encounter?
One for me that comes to mind is being in a authority or a management position is the hard decisions of literally changing somebody's life if you have to let them go. That's like and
Judge,
no
jury, and executioner.
right
There.
no for sure and and unfortunately I've had to do it several times and I've come to Dale about it almost every single time that I have to do it. And one thing that Dale always reminds me is that, one, yes, I'm having to do the action of letting them go, but I didn't make the poor decisions that they made. But even with that is the thought of, did I do enough to coach them? Did I ask them how are they doing on a personal level? Enough, and kind of wading through all of that and just kind of navigating those waters is pretty tough.
Yeah. No, that would be tough.
Yeah, I think of just being a Christian at work, and I had like a really good thought. He was finishing up his thought, and it just left my brain. To be completely honest, my whole train just went off the cliffs there. Helping train myself. Yeah, no, helping train myself so I can train others well. As far as like the whole Monday to Friday mindset, like I try to fight against that, and I try to be a light in the workplace of like, I'm excited to be at work on Monday, like be countercultural and lead people towards, by the way, there's more to life. You ain't supposed to be working for the weekend. And by the way, in the Garden of Eden, God gave them work when it was perfect. Before they fell, they had work. Like they had jobs to do. They had things to do, right? The work is supposed to be a good thing and a redemptive and a God honoring thing. So trying to be able to show up and actually model that for people. Like, oh, this isn't drudgery. No, like I get to bust my butt and do this to the best of my ability. Yeah. That's a lot of fun, but it's also challenging because that's so foreign to people. It's like they just want to do the bare minimum, clock out and get gone.
Yeah. So, for sure. And it's tough. I struggle with being that light, that bubble, the
bubble,
just being bubbly.
Yeah, being bubbly. Okay.
Loving the Mondays.
Talking about up.
And no. Loving Mondays but I definitely try to recognize whenever I know I'm either stressed or just feel like I've completely had it, or we all have days where we're just in a bad mood. Yeah. And so there have been times whenever I was supposed to have a meeting or be in a meeting with my guys, and I just told them, like, look, this is not gonna go well for me to be in this setting right now. So I'm not in the right place. Yeah. So I'm just gonna not, and let them, take it and do the meeting themselves and, fill me in or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely tough.
Yeah. I'd say the persecution is as real as you want it to be. You can have as much persecution in the workplace as a Christian as you want. It's there for the taking if you're willing to seek it out by being a light and stepping up and doing the right thing. Because I could give quite a few stories from that perspective of like different things I've had to endure in the workplace.
Well, and
That's good.
I guess my question for both of you work in a male-driven job.
Blue collar, too.
and
very.
most of the time are very masculine, machismo style men. Let's just be honest. That probably are having a lot of either going to or having a lot of conversations about inappropriate things. And not that everyone in the world thinks they're inappropriate, but just whether it's like, hey, let's go down to the strip club together. Hey, let's do these things.
Yeah.
And like, and so that
yeah.
where's that like, and then there's a like, and not like both of you work in job related things where most people wouldn't even think it's wrong for you to take your guys down to something, do something like that.
And I would even say it's expected. Like you're the boss. Like it's your job to treat us. And if that's what we're about and what we like, then treat us in that
Another
way.
round on the boss.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I had to literally have a conversation with one of my technicians. Not only will I not take you to that place and pay for that, I also don't believe in willingly objectifying women and doing that. And those places are fronts for other kinds of nefarious activities. And he's like, well, and then it's a bunch of crab walking and we go have a steak somewhere.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with not only that, but the I don't want to say, how do I put this the right way? I blatantly the racist conversations that happen. I mean, I've literally had to say, "You love my boys," to people at work. "You love my boys. They are Hispanic.
Yeah.
Would you talk to them like this, or would you talk about them like this?"
Yeah.
And that's tough. I mean, one, because I'd really love to just rip your head off.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And two, I know you care about my kids. I know I've seen you around them.
Yeah.
And so just having that intertwined conflict of when to say something, when to just turn around and walk off, and how hard to deliver whatever it is that needs to be said,
Right.
from a personal level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys are high ranking, if you will, in y'all's respective fields. And people know that you guys are Christians. They know your values. They know your ethics. Is based off of Scripture. You're not going to do anything unethical or immoral. So why do you think so many Christians kind of hide whenever it comes to the workplace in a secular arena?
Because it's easier. So
Sorry. Yeah, because I was going to say the first question, what comes to mind when it says Christian at workplace? Again, I haven't worked. I mean, yes, I DJ on the weekends, but even that is isolated. Like people aren't asking me who I am.
Right.
Like I'm just playing music, and the company that I choose to work for only plays clean versions.
Yeah.
So it kind of like keeps me from having to have those conversations. However, when I think of Christian at the workplace, I where y'all said it's not two different things, I see it that way. I see that most Christians I am a Christian / unless I'm at the workplace. Not that they're not doing immoral things, but they're not doing them so they don't
They flip a switch.
They're not doing it
though.
because they don't want to get fired.
Yeah.
Not because it brings glory to God.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good.
yeah, for sure. And I'll be honest, and I don't know if you've ever done this, Paul, but so there are times where I take like a message that Dale or X preaches, and I take it very literal and just go and nonchalantly or whatever, however you say it, just go off and do things that probably should think twice about doing. But so one day, one Monday, I went in the shop, Monday morning, and I was talking with one of the guys, and me and him have had a few conversations before, just about normal stuff, and this was after we had started Culture on Tap, and I just asked him, I was like, so if you didn't know me, would you say that you knew I was a Christian? And he said, Rainge, you want me to be honest with you? I said, absolutely. He said, if I didn't watch the podcast and I just went off of your daily actions here, I said, I actually probably wouldn't have guessed.
Oh, wow.
And since that conversation, I've made it a point to, clearly change the way that I act at work, and that conversation changed me and his relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
He actually doesn't work for us anymore, but
Get fired.
right, yeah, no,
You're fired.
on his own will. He's following some dreams of his and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
That didn't involve range.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, I mean, it just changed, and like to the point to where multiple times a week we were having good, in-depth conversations.
Yeah.
And he had things in his past where he was hurt by the church and different things like that. And but I feel like if I was to ask him that same question again, his answer would be different.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck, that's even, kudos on you for actually asking that question.
And being okay with the feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay with it, not so much. But,
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
that's
that's
being willing to
hard
change because of it.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. But that's hard to hear.
Yeah.
Swing it. Go ahead. Swing her wide.
So, I mean, but I think that's a valid point to ask the question, because most of us, I would assume, like, okay, I'm not doing the things they're doing, so I'm clearly acting like a Christian. Because I think a lot of us, if we're honest, we probably see a lot of people in our workplace that profess to be Christians that aren't doing those things, and we gauge our walk off of their
them.
moral deism,
Oh,
per
yeah.
se. And to ask that question and not go, well, you don't really just know me yet, but to go, okay, I've got to change how I act. I think that's huge. Because I think we can all get comfortable at work. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, even working in Christian environments like me and Xavier do, there's days where I'm like, I work in a boys' home or I work at a church, and I have done nothing today that I feel like truly brings glory to God in what I do. So, yeah.
My on that specific question, my perspective is just like, it's all based on our intentionality or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
Like, being a Christian at work is not an accident, or the lack thereof. And I just feel like most people don't do it because it requires intentionality. Like, people are just consumed with, well, I just want to do a good job. I want to get in, get out, get my paycheck. And they don't view it as a mission field. They don't view it as like, wow, this is really like a place where it could be a ministry and I could be pouring into other people. But Rainge is spot on too. It's just definitely easier, right? Because being intentional is difficult. It's hard. Like, my team's picture on my work computer is me and wearing clothes like this with my kids and my Labradoodle.
Yeah.
Like, like that's my team's picture. Like, I don't need to have some fancy professional in a suit picture. Like, I want people to look at that and be like, whoa, this, like, immediately they're gonna, something's different about this. So
Yeah, for sure.
but even that, like, little things like that that has started so many like really, really good conversations at the workplace. And that was intentional, just putting up a picture that was vulnerable and honest and sparks conversation.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is because people, like you were alluding to, they don't work from a place of vocatio, which is the Latin word for calling.
Yeah.
I work from a place of give me my check. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care
yeah.
what you got going on. Like after when I clock out,
Get that bread.
let me just get my money and dip
Yeah.
out.
Leave.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but if you approach it from a standpoint of vocatio, that the Lord has placed you here for a reason, and a byproduct of that is you getting a paycheck, you getting benefits or what have you.
Right.
That is a byproduct of the actual mission that the Lord has for you in that particular arena. So, no, I think that's good. Is there a line as a Christian we shouldn't cross as an employee when we're at work? And it seems like a layup, but kind of let's parse it out a little bit.
Can I politician you and give you a question to your question?
Yeah, yeah.
So my rebuttal back to that would be, okay, so my line right now I'm flirting with is that I have a Wednesday morning Bible study, and it's using our Teams software for my job, and 2 fellow employees are on it with me. But it's at 6 a.m. So it's before working hours, but I'm making use of company software, if you will, for it. But I also have 2 employees of the company on there too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a leadership development, and like we're reading through End of Me by Kyle Idleman. It's a Bible study.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's
Yeah.
a Bible study.
Yeah, yeah.
But how do you feel about that?
So I would say, if it were me, because in the role that I'm in, I don't have issue with it if it is it's developing character that's going to help the company,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So it's scriptural ethics that is explicitly helping the company, but implicitly helping the man. You know what I'm saying? So
100%, yeah.
I don't have issue with that. The only time I would have issue with it is if the company is like, okay, you cannot do this anymore. We found out about it. You told us about it. Whatever.
Yeah.
You can't do this anymore, and then you proceed to do it. I think that would be an issue. But for the standpoint of character development and
Yeah.
helping the mission of the company while helping them see who Jesus is,
I could
don't
set
have
up a Zoom account and
Yeah.
do this on Zoom.
So I was say like,
Yeah.
because I do think there is a line. Now, and what I mean by that is if you hire on to a company that makes it abundantly clear there are things you can't do, you agree to that. And I think that you instead of going, I'm going to be defiant, be creative.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
the best example I can give is, so Michelle used to work at the high school. The agreement is that you cannot lead a Bible study. Like you can't organize it and lead it. You can't make kids study the Bible, which she never did. However, there's nothing that says she can't read her Bible. So when the kids would be like, she's an interpreter for a deaf teacher there. When the kids would be doing tests or something like that, she'd be reading her Bible. So kids saw her doing that and started coming up and asking her questions about the Bible. And the teacher and her got to talking more about the Bible. And he would put bonus questions on the test, like quote this verse, which
Dope.
that's his choice. Could it get him fired? Possibly. So someone reported it. And when the report came out, basically the teacher said, you can't offer bonus points solely off of scripture. Like you have to give them options that have nothing to do with scripture for bonus points, blah, 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 blah. And then they told Michelle, you can no longer do this in school. Like it's against the rules. Like they wanted to write her up, and she disagreed. She said, like in the write-up, they wanted her to say that she would no longer talk about the Bible with students. And she said, so how is this different if I was reading Harry Potter or Summer I Turned Pretty, and a kid sees me reading it and just wants to discuss the book with me?
Right.
Like I haven't asked these kids to talk about the Bible with me. They are choosing to. And they said, it is what it is. And like, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And she just told them, like, then you're just going to have to let me go, because I'm not going to stop. Like, if they ask me about the Bible, so I say that to say, like, I think if you go into a situation and there's a clear line. Like if your boss told you, you cannot use this format
Right.
to do your Bible study more, then I would say you have to respect that and either set up a
Yeah,
kind of Zoom
yeah.
or say, hey, we're going to meet at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Or what, like get creative. But if he said you can no longer on your free time do Bible studies with employees here, then I think you have a choice to make.
Right. Yeah.
Like what's more important now?
Yeah.
And I think that's a different conversation to have. But I think most of us just fear, we love our money so much, we don't even want to flirt with what can cause us problems.
Well, and I was going to say, again, if it starts in a place of intentionality, we're doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning. We ain't doing it from 8 to 10 on a Tuesday when there's other meetings and other things going on. We're not clogging up productivity. Like this is literally a way to get our brains moving, working, and like launch us successfully into the day.
And it's development.
Right, exactly.
It's,
so
it's character development.
What employer is going to be like, no, I don't want my people to have better character and but it's all about how you do it. Because if I would have just went to and said, we doing a Bible study on Wednesday mornings and and then had that kind of approach of, it would have been
like I
different.
said, if they say, hey, you can't do this on the company basically software, then if you continue to do it, that is, I have an issue with it.
For sure,
But I wouldn't have issue with that at all.
Yeah.
Because it's, again, developing the character of the person, and also in developing that character, it's going to help the company in the long run.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
What about you, Range?
I mean, I feel like we're all on the same page. There's definitely a line of what's it called? Like not necessarily obedience, but like not being defiant. You know, following authority.
Yeah.
You know. If there's certain rules of that are set, like even with the deal about Michelle, like absolutely she wasn't crossing those lines, and it's sad that it ended the way that it did. But I mean, there's no doubt that it was what she was doing wasn't fruitful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like with Paul's situation, I agree 100%. It's beneficial, to the company. It's beneficial to the person.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I definitely don't have any or see any issue with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, there's a time and a place, and you know, we get paid to be productive. We get paid to make our companies money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're not hindering that production.
Yeah.
You're, in essence, you're 100% increasing.
Yeah.
You know, the production with the development and, you know, things like that. And so, but there's a way, and there's a time, and there's a place.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
what were you about to say?
Yeah, I just think Range and I are both speaking of a very blessed place of too, where clearly we both have a lot of flexibility, freedom, and ability to be intentional, have these conversations with coworkers and employees. I know there's probably a ton of people listening to the podcast that don't have that kind of a work and work-life balance environment where they can even speak in, and they're like, man, I ain't even ever thought of this before, because maybe they got a tyrant as a boss, or it's like so it is very this is also a situational
But wouldn't you agree though, like some of that is being creative? Is there a fly?
Yeah, it is. It's landed on your forehead like 5 times.
Is it even like, and I'm not saying like when you have a really rough boss that like that's not an issue, because it is, but instead of dwelling on what you can't change, be creative with what you can.
Again, it all starts and ends with your intentionality,
even if you're like
and how
job,
on mission you are.
And you got to think about it this way: even if you're in a job where they're like, under no circumstance do you bring up Christianity, because everybody goes like, so for example, when this happened with Michelle, the teacher was like, I shouldn't have to offer any, like it should be okay if I want to offer bonus points for scripture. I said, okay, I get your view and I think it's awesome, but how would you feel if the teacher was like, I should get to offer bonus points for the Quran and Muslim views?
Right.
Like, because you got to each his own, like you should be able to like view it that way. And I said, so you got to see their point. And so like, if you're in a job where they're like, you can't talk about Christ, that doesn't mean you can't act like Christ.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
find your answer. I literally was talking to one of our youth reach young men the other day, and he said he's in college, and he goes, I go to a college that doesn't have a Christian club. I want to start a Christian club. And I was like, that's not possible. I said, you have to be dropped off at school, and then you get picked up at school. You don't get to come back up here for extracurricular activities. Like, that's something you could pull off. However, you're talking about starting a Christian club for a Bible study when you have a group of boys that live with you. Why don't you start a Bible study there? Like, you can't fix it here, but you can like get creative with what you have.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that most folks, though, that would claim to be Christians in the workplace, you don't have to be a man. I would just empower people to say you don't have to be a manager to like start implementing these changes and doing things like we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if you're in the back of Chick-fil-A shoveling fries. That's where I started out. You know, like you can still lead. That, you know, there's books written on servant leadership and like leading from where you are, because leadership at the end of the day is pure influence. And if you were the number one fry shoveler, then you could be blessing somebody and starting that conversation of, hey, why are you the way you are?
Right.
Why are you so passionate about shoveling flies there, buddy? Seriously, I mean, it's that simple. It's just a decision, an internal shift and focus, and people can see that.
Yeah,
For sure.
no, I think that's good. I think we've covered the gauntlet, not just from a standpoint of where you guys are from in y'all's roles, but even for a quote unquote lower tier employee of just being like Christ in the workplace. I have a closing remark that I want to
Well, and hopefully
give, but
it
y'all got anything?
hopefully it makes it easier for employees that work for me to feel like they can have these conversations, you know, with other employees.
Yeah.
You know, and they can do these types of things with other employees. Because I'm not the only Christian, you know, at my store.
Yeah.
So hopefully I create an environment that is inviting and welcoming to those types of conversations.
Yeah. No, that's good. Anything you want to close with?
I would say one of the things that's the most difficult is really just truly like, and I mean this, like just sharing your faith at work. Like that's hard, and that doesn't matter what level, what tier you end up being on. Like, you know, I have a coworker that led to the Lord, and we got into a tiff this last week, and I was not Christ-like in my conversation with him, and I had to go back and apologize. And he's in the Bible study on Wednesday mornings. And I was like, man, like I really dropped the ball for my friend, and I apologized to him, and he accepted the apology. But it's like
But how awesome is that you're able to show and share,
walk in repentance?
I'm not perfect.
Right.
I'm not Christ. I'm called to be Christ-like, but I'm not.
Burden for someone to know the gospel and still be someone that falls short.
100%.
And
Exactly.
I think too often we forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we fear sharing the gospel.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
you know how much growth did that show?
The fly was
How
on
much
it.
did
Golly.
I saw an
you didn't even
opportunity.
get it?
Sorry,
But
I
how
saw an
much
Stroke
opportunity.
out.
How much growth did that provide for that guy to know I'm going to fail one day
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
But you modeled repentance for him
Exactly.
so that he can walk in the same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's so funny because the reason why I was acting out, if you will, and talking back to him, same reason he was talking back to me.
Mhm.
We were just both having a moment of insecurity, weakness, and we were literally barking the same message from a
Right.
different perspective, if you will. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it was it is cool to develop those deeper relationships where you can have these conversations. We are being accosted by this fly.
We were being attacked.
He really
Yeah.
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 All right.
I'll close with this because though I am no longer in a quote unquote secular workplace, I worked in the plants for a long time, and I don't know there is another place quite like it.
Mm-hmm. Sucks.
But from my perspective, I was a Pharisee in the secular workplace. And a lot of it had to do with my insecurity and still being addicted to pornography in the midst of it. And so it was easy to point out everything else. It's easy to point out everything else that's going wrong morally and ethically.
Oh yeah.
In the plants,
Right. No,
so
absolutely.
I projected this image that I was something that I really wasn't living. From the standpoint of I was just being a Pharisee.
Yeah.
In the midst of it, and the Lord humbled me very quickly. We had a crane operator. It was during Easter because we were getting ready for a.
Yeah, his name. I know this story.
We were getting ready for our Easter weekend. It was getting a 3-day weekend. It was really, really, really good. And it was Thursday afternoon, and he was down. He was usually a person who was very loud and, just always in a good mood. But this particular day he wasn't, and we were walking out getting ready for this 3-day weekend, and he was like, man, is there anything more to life than this? He's like, I've been working in the plant since I was 18 years old. I have motorcycles. I have all of these different things. I have all of these different things that I have at my fingertips. But is there anything else in life that is worth more than this? And this is a layup.
Yeah.
Right. This
Absolutely.
is what we dream of. In sharing the gospel. And the sad thing is that he had saw my Pharisee posture multiple times. So it's like you have this answer.
Right.
It's almost like he's asking me to share with him.
Yeah.
Sir, what must I do to be saved?
Basically. And my response was, I don't know.
Ooh. And what no, don't tell me. I know Overhead. Was that his name? Or no, that's what me and Noah. What was this guy's name?
High Beam.
High Beam. Same thing.
But
yeah, High Beam.
But I punted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I punted. And the reality is that I wanted to project this image that you guys are doing it all wrong, but whenever there was sincerity, I didn't want to step into that. For one, I was still neck deep in sin. And I punted.
Yeah.
And it bothered me all weekend. And there was this picture all weekend of I'm going to share the gospel with him on Monday. I'm going to do it. I'm going to share it. It's going to be great. And all of these things. And I can't wait to get back to work on Monday to share the gospel with them. And you would think that this is a bad dream or just a movie script. I come in on Monday, and before we get started, our superintendent is like, before we get started, I just want to share with you guys that High Beam was in a motorcycle accident this weekend and he passed away. And I'm like, there's no way that this is real.
Yeah.
And I had opportunity to share the gospel where this man is petitioning, what must I do to be saved? And I punt. And I'm thinking that I'm going to get another opportunity, and I don't.
Yeah.
And the icing on the cake was our superintendent. It's like, we all know that Xavier is a very religious man. So we're going to ask him to pray for High Beam and his family. Talk about something that I have to live with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And
tough.
it is a struggle, but I say all that to say, first off, don't be a Pharisee at your workplace.
Yeah.
And don't project this image of who Christ is. Christ isn't coming beating people over the head with his truth. No, he's inviting them and saying, yes, you may have this glaring struggle. You may have this glaring thing that is holding on to you right now, but I just want you. I don't want your behavior. That'll come.
Yeah.
I want your heart. And if we approach our workplace from a Pharisee standpoint, first off, I would contend, and this was just my experience, so I can't say this for everybody, but I would contend that it's probably we got some secret sin in our life if we can't let go of that Pharisee posture.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a lot more insecurity that we're not dealing with, that heart issue, and that we're feeling scared to be rejected. But the reality is that we give people Jesus by living out the gospel. Amen. And obviously, there is a time and place to explicitly communicate the gospel. And in some cases, it's a layup. Others, it's not. It's like a full court press that you have to break. However, implicitly, we can love people well.
Yeah.
We can serve people well. We can be kind to people to where they say there is something different about this person and how they handle this situation. We can apologize whenever we wrong someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that will work wonders and give opportunity to actually share the gospel. Don't be like me and have to live with that story for the rest of my life.
Ooh.
It's tough.
Would you argue that it's more important to meet people where they're at with what you can in the moment than it is to project this pharisaical? Yeah.
Let me break down eschatology for you.
Yeah.
Let me, and just kind of just have this theological prowess and flex where it's just like,
No.
how are you doing today?
Well, not only that, or if they tell you something, just like, hey, can I just
Pray-
sit with you?
Pray with you, pray
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Can I text you this weekend, check on you?
That goes a lot further than breaking down the end times for someone.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Being
Absolutely.
Jesus to them, meeting them where they're at in that moment.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. So if y'all ain't got anything else, we'll wrap up. This has been Culture on Tap. Thank you for tapping in with us. We have Paul for one more week. We're excited. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing what you shared. Rainge, thank you for sharing your perspective.
Yeah.
We will tap in with you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Playing the best classic hits. You can download the Houston Radio Platinum app. It's in your app store, or just ask Alexa to play Houston Radio Platinum.